Hey everybody, happy Sunday, Strumday. A couple weeks ago, I was talking about bar chords. Specifically, the two skills that you need to develop if you want to become fluent with bar chords. Those two skills being technique and knowledge. And I asked you guys, which one should I talk about first? And overwhelmingly, you guys want to hear me talk about technique. And hey, that kind of makes sense because if you can't physically do the bar chords, it sure is going to be tough to then apply them to your creativity and to songs. Now, if you're having trouble with your bar chords, it might not even be your fault. I know so many beginner, intermediate, and even professional players that are playing on guitars that are really difficult to play. And it's usually because they haven't had a setup. A setup is when you take your guitar into a guitar technician and they make sure that it's operating properly and that it's comfortable to play. If you've never had a setup, you're pretty much guaranteed that you need one. If you haven't had a setup in 6 months or longer, also probably guaranteed that you need one. All right, so let's say we've had our setup performed and our guitar is playing properly. Next, we want to practice the bar chords. Specifically, what we're practicing is finding the bar chords, because in the context of a song, we need to be able to find that chord in an instant. So first off, when you're practicing your chords, I think it's good to start in the middle of the neck. That's where the frets are closer together and the strings are easier to press. You don't want to start on first fret. You'll be working a lot harder than you have to. When I'm playing the bar chord, I'm making sure that my fingers are right behind the frets. I can actually feel the frets under my fingers. That's where the notes are going to be easiest and more in tune. Secondly, I want to make sure that my hand is aligned. So my thumb, you shouldn't be able to see it, but there it is lined up with my hand. It's not over this way, it's not over this way. It's right in the middle. That's where my hand's going to be strongest, when it's pressing against my thumb. And also, my hand is in alignment. I'm not at an angle like this or an angle like that. Figuring out the thumb placement really does help figure out your hand alignment. The two are very connected. I also want to talk about where the pressure is going to come from. It's not so much from our hand. A lot of the pressure that comes from playing the chord is from the weight of my arm and also the strength of my shoulders. Because I've got one arm on this side of the guitar, I can actually use the strength of my shoulders to hold that chord down. The strength of my hand is used more to maintain that shape and stay on the guitar neck. And since I'm pressing right behind the fret, I shouldn't need a whole lot of pressure to get that chord to come out clearly. I should also say that part of what you're practicing is finding the perfect spot on each finger to press the string with. And since everybody has different hands, it's in a little bit of a different spot for every person. So there needs to be a bit of self-discovery, and you need to pay attention to where the perfect spot on your finger is to play the chord. Now, let's talk about the actual practice. What I like to get my students to do is we'll get our hands in place and we'll play each string and make sure that each string is nice and clear. And then we play the whole chord. And then we take our hand away and we do it again. Now, how many times do you have to do it if you want to get really good at it? Well, scientists have studied this kind of thing. And what they found was you need at least 30 repetitions before your brain starts to create a habit. So if you're doing it any less than 30 repetitions, you're wasting your time. But of course, 30 repetitions is just the minimum. So I say shoot far north of that. 100 times, 200 times, 1,000 times. You're trying to learn this chord for good, forever, so that you don't have to come back and practice it again. So aim for those really high numbers. This is definitely the type of practice that is great in small bursts. Practice for 5 minutes, put your guitar down, go do something else, and retest yourself repeatedly throughout the day. I have students that play 30 minutes a day in 5-minute chunks, and they make great progress with this kind of stuff. So I hope that's helpful. Bar chords are incredibly valuable, and they're also very challenging, so they're going to make you a better guitar player. So stick with them. I hope you're having fun on your guitar, and I hope to see you at the next Sunday Strumday.